Leo was just an ordinary human working on Starpoint 9, a peaceful trade station in the middle of the galaxy. His job was not special. He repaired machines, cleaned filters, and made sure the cooling systems didn't break. He liked the quiet life. He liked staying out of trouble. But that morning was different. He was drinking warm synth coffee in the station lounge when the door opened. Two tall figures stepped in. They were not from the station. Their armor was silver and smooth. Their helmets had no eyes, only a glowing symbol that looked like a sun and a tear. Everyone stopped moving. Leo blinked as the guards walked straight toward him. "Leo of Earth," one said in a voice that echoed through the room. "You have been summoned by Queen Allery of the Varelian Empire. You must come with us now." Leo laughed nervously. "Me? I think you have the wrong guy. They didn't move." "You will not be harmed," the other one said. "The Queen has chosen you. You must come," people whispered around him. Some looked shocked. Others stepped away. No one dared to speak against the Varelians. Their empire was ancient and powerful. Even humans respected their reach. Leo put down his coffee. "Okay, then." He followed the guards out of the lounge and into a sleek silver shuttle. The door closed behind him with a soft hum. No one told him where they were going, but the stars outside told the truth. They were flying toward the great Varelian world, the one humans called Crystal Haven. The flight was quiet. The guards did not speak. Leo stared out the window, wondering what he had done. Why had the queen of a powerful alien empire called, for him, a simple technician with no rank and no fame? When they landed, the shuttle opened to a bright golden sky and towers made of clear stone. The air was soft and warm. Strange flying lights floated above the streets. Everything shimmered, like a dream he couldn't explain. They walked through gates shaped like wings and entered the palace. The floor was made of glass that glowed with each step. At the end of the great hall stood a figure on a silver platform, Queen Allery. She wore a long robe of deep blue and silver threads. Her face was calm and her eyes were sharp. She looked at Leo not with anger or fear, but with quiet thought. Leo bowed awkwardly. "Your Majesty, I don't understand why I'm here." The Queen raised one hand. "You are here because I have chosen you." "Chosen me for what?" he asked carefully. She stood and walked down the steps toward him. "My daughter, Rena, has reached the age of wisdom. She must spend one cycle with a life form from outside our world. It is tradition. You, Leo, have been selected to live with her. Teach her. Share your ways. Let her learn through your presence." Leo's mouth opened slightly. "You want me to live with your daughter?" "Yes," the Queen replied. "And you may not refuse. The match has been seen by our seers. It must happen." Leo wanted to ask more. He wanted to say no, but the Queen's voice left no room. He felt like a bird trapped in a glass cage. "I'm just a technician," he said. "I don't know how to teach a royal daughter." "Perhaps that is why you were chosen," the Queen said. Before he could speak again, she turned and walked away. The guards came forward once more. "This way," one said. They led Leo through a different hallway, this one lined with floating lights and soft music. The doors opened into a small but beautiful room. In the center stood a figure dressed in light green. Her eyes were silver like her mother's, but calmer. She looked young. "Not by age, but by soul. This is Rena," the guard said. "Your companion for one cycle." Then the doors closed behind him. Leo stood still. Rena looked at him with a tilted head. She did not smile, but she did not frown either. She walked over slowly and looked at his shirt, his hands, his boots. "You are smaller than I thought," she said. Leo gave a nervous laugh. "And you're taller than I expected." She nodded once and turned away. "You will stay in the room next to mine. Do not try to leave the palace without permission. Meals are shared at sunrise and dusk. I will begin asking questions tomorrow, Leo. Looked around. That's it? No welcome? No tour? You are not a guest. You are a teacher. And I will observe. Leo sat down slowly on a soft bench. His head was spinning. 1 hour ago, he was fixing air vents. Now, he was in a royal palace with an alien princess. He looked at the ceiling, which glowed with tiny stars. This is going to be the strangest week of my life, he whispered to himself. But somewhere deep inside, a small spark of curiosity began. To burn, he didn't know why he was really chosen, but he was going to find out. Leo woke up early the next morning. The soft ceiling above him changed color slowly, turning from dark blue to pale gold. It was like a gentle sunrise inside the room. He had never slept in a place so quiet, so clean, and so strange. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered the queen, the guards, the floating shuttle, and the tall girl with silver eyes. Reyna, he sat up and looked around. A soft bell sound came from the wall. Then the door opened without a knock. Reyna stood there, wearing a different robe today. This one was dark green with silver lines across the shoulders. Her expression was the same as yesterday. Calm, serious, and curious. You are awake, she said. Leo nodded and stood up. Yes. Is it morning already? Time begins now, she replied. Follow me. He followed her down a hallway lined with tall windows. Outside, the sky looked soft and glowing, filled with gentle flying shapes. Some were birds, some were machines. Everything moved in silence. They entered a dining chamber with a long crystal table. Food was already placed on the table. It looked fresh, but unlike anything Leo had seen before. There were glowing fruits, soft bread made from bright blue grain, and a warm drink that smelled like cinnamon. Reyna sat and pointed at the seat across from her. Leo sat carefully. She took a sip of her drink. You will eat what you like. You are not required to follow our customs. Leo smiled slightly. Thanks. That's good to know. He picked up a piece of the bread and took a small bite. It was light and sweet. They ate in silence for a while. Reyna seemed deep in thought. Her fingers moved slowly as if measuring time through touch. Then she looked up. Why do humans feel sadness when they see stars? She asked. Leo paused. That was not a question he expected. I guess because stars remind us how small we are. Or maybe because we know we'll never reach them all, he said. Nodded. That makes sense. The Varelians do not feel that way. We see stars as memories. Each one a light that never forgets. That's beautiful, Leo said. Reyna tilted her head. You speak like a poet, but you are a technician. Why? Leo smiled. Because humans feel more than one thing at a time. We fix machines, but we also dream about flying. We get sad, but we still laugh. Maybe that's why your mother picked me. She looked at him for a long moment. Possibly. Or maybe she hopes I will change. Leo leaned forward. Do you want to change? Reyna did not answer right away. She stood up and motioned for him to follow again. They walked through a different part of the palace now. This hallway was lined with glowing panels that showed moving images. Leo saw moments from Varelian history, ships flying through fire, peace talks with other races, a tower being built by hand. In one of the panels, he saw a younger Reyna standing beside, her mother, both silent, both watching a crowd. This is our hall of memory, Reyna said. Our people believe in truth. We do not erase history, even when it hurts. Leo stopped at one of the panels. It showed a group of alien children and one human child playing together. They were laughing. The image faded into a scene where the human child left and the alien children stood alone. Quiet. What happened here? Leo asked. Reyna answered without emotion. That was from 12 years ago. The human child was taken away because the queen believed the others were growing. Too close. She feared they would learn the wrong feelings. Leo looked at her. What feelings? Rena finally turned to him. Her voice was softer now. Hope, attachment, loss, feelings that bring pain, but also joy. Your people don't feel those. Things? Leo asked. We do, but not in the same way. We are taught to control them, to not let them grow. My mother fears what strong emotions can do. Leo walked beside her again as they left the hall. But what if she's wrong? Rena stopped walking. She turned and looked straight into his eyes. That is why you are here. They entered a small garden on the side of the palace. Strange, tall plants swayed without wind. Small lights moved between the leaves. In the center was a bench made of something that looked like marble but changed color slowly. Rena sat down. This is where I think Leo sat beside her. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The silence was not cold. It was peaceful. Then Rena asked quietly, Do you miss your world? Leo looked up at the sky above. Sometimes, but maybe I was meant to leave it. Maybe that's the only way to grow. She looked at him for a long time. Do all humans think like that? Not all, but enough of us do, he replied. Rena stood. Tomorrow, I will take you to the Tower of Vision. I want you to see something my people have forgotten. Leo looked at her with a raised eyebrow. What's that? She answered with a single word. The next day, the sun above Crystal Haven rose with soft golden light. It moved slowly across the sky like it had nowhere to go. Inside the palace, Leo stood near the entrance of the Tower of Vision. He looked up. The tower stretched high into the sky, made of white crystal that seemed to glow from within. Rena stood beside him. She wore a silver robe this time. Her eyes looked calm as always, but there was something new in her voice. Curiosity. This tower was built before our empire. Had machines, she said. It is said the first leaders would come here and look beyond the stars. They believed in something more than power. Leo nodded slowly. And now? Now it is mostly used for watching space traffic. Rena replied. Leo smiled at her joke. It was quiet, but it was there. They entered the tower. The inside was cool and silent. No guards, no lights. Just the slow hum of energy deep inside the walls. They stepped into a lift that moved without sound. As they rose, the tower became brighter, lit by the sun outside and the crystal inside. When they reached the top, the door opened into a wide, circular room with a clear view of the sky. Leo stepped forward and saw everything. The city below, the clouds in the distance, and the stars waiting beyond. It's beautiful, he whispered. Rena stood beside him. This is where I came to think about the world. This is where I decided I needed to understand humans. Leo turned to her. Why me? Why now? Rena looked at him without blinking. Because I read about your choices. I studied your records. You are not a soldier. You are not rich. You help others. You fix things. But most important, you ask questions. Leo raised an eyebrow. You've been watching me? Yes, she said without shame. It was necessary. Leo walked around the room slowly. You said this place was once for something more. What did your people lose? Emotion, curiosity, trust. Long ago, we believed those things were dangerous. So we trained ourselves to be calm, to be cold. But in doing so, we lost something greater. Leo looked out the window again. Why not bring it back? That is why you are here, Rena said. Later that evening, Leo noticed something strange. As they returned to the palace, servants greeted them with unusual interest. Some nodded to him with respect. Others whispered quietly as he passed. Raina didn't speak much during dinner. She watched him carefully. Every question he asked, every bite he took, every pause he made, she seemed to notice. After the meal, she walked with him through the garden. The sky above had turned soft purple, and the stars had begun to shine. "I must tell you something," she said. Leo looked at her with interest. "Go ahead." "You are being tested," she said calmly. "My mother told me to observe you. She wants to know if humans can still feel something we have forgotten. She wants to see if the stories are true." "What stories?" he asked. She stopped walking. "There is an old belief in our culture. A time will come when one from a lesser world will remind us of the spark. Not power, not control, but something brighter, something inside." Leo felt the weight of her words. "And she thinks I might be that person?" "She hopes you are," Rena said. Leo sat on the edge of a smooth stone. He picked up a small glowing leaf from the ground and turned it in his fingers. "That's a lot of pressure." Rena sat beside him. "You do not have to be anything more than what you are. Just live, speak, feel. That will be enough for the..." Next few days, Rena showed Leo more of the palace. He saw the great halls of art where emotionless paintings lined the walls. He walked through the library where voices were never raised and books were read without feeling. He visited the training chambers where warriors moved like machines. And everywhere he went, people watched him. They watched how he smiled at the small birds in the garden. They listened when he asked a worker how her day was going. They noticed when he helped an elder servant carry a broken tray. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just being human. One evening, Rena brought him to a quiet chamber deep under the palace. The walls were made of stone, not crystal. The air was cool and still. In the center of the room was a simple circle of light. "This is where we test truth," she said. Leo stepped into the circle. "How?" Rena spoke from outside the ring. "You must answer one question with full honesty. If you lie, the stone will turn dark. If you speak the truth, it will shine." Leo took a deep breath. "All right. Ask me." Rena looked into his eyes. "Do you believe we can change?" Leo paused. He thought about everything he had seen. The quiet people, the cold halls, the silent warriors. But then he remembered the look in Rena's eyes, the way the garden felt at night, the soft laugh she gave when he called the palace kitchen a flavorless zone. "Yes," he said. "I believe you can. Maybe not in one day, but if you truly want to, you can change." The stone beneath him began to glow. Rena stepped forward. 4. The first time, her face showed more than calm. It showed wonder. "You passed," she said quietly. Leo smiled. "What now?" She looked at him with steady eyes. "Now we see how far this spark can go." The night was quiet in the Crystal Palace. Most lights were dim. The hallways were empty. Even the wind outside seemed to move gently, as if respecting the silence. But Leo could not sleep. He turned on his side, stared at the glowing ceiling, and listened to the soft humming in the walls. His mind was full of thoughts. Rena's words from the day before kept repeating in his head. Now we see how far this spark can go. Leo stood up and quietly left his room. He didn't know where he was going. His feet simply moved on their own. The hallway was lit with soft blue light. Strange patterns moved along the walls like flowing water. As he walked deeper into the palace, he passed areas he had never seen before. The walls became older. Some stones looked rough and cracked. There were no guards here, no signs, just quiet and space. At the end of the hallway, Leo found a small doorway. It was half open. He pushed it gently and stepped inside. The room beyond was large and dark. Dust floated in the air. The walls were filled with shelves. Some held strange boxes. Some held scrolls and broken tools. In the center of the room stood a single stone table. On it lay a flat book, half covered in a cloth. Leo moved closer. He pulled back the cloth and saw something surprising. The book had two languages. One was clearly Varelian, graceful symbols that curved like wind, but the other was human. Earth's old language. Simple printed letters. Leo opened the first page. It had a title, The Spark of Connection, Lost Teachings of the First Exchange. He sat down and began to read. The book told a story from hundreds of years ago. Long before the Varelians became cold and quiet, they had visited Earth. Not as rulers, not as enemies, but as learners. They had studied music, poetry, and human dreams. They had called humans the fire bearers because of their deep emotions and strong spirit. The book said there was once a time when humans and Varelians worked together to build something called the Harmony Tower, a place where thoughts could be shared without speech, a place of pure feeling. But after a great disagreement between leaders, the project was abandoned. The tower was never finished, and the old knowledge was hidden. Leo felt a chill as he read further. There was a part near the end written in both languages. It said, "When the flame forgets its warmth, a visitor from the forgotten world will remind it." Leo closed the book slowly. He sat still for a moment, heart beating faster. So it was true. The Queen wasn't just testing him. She was searching for something long buried, something her people had once lost. Suddenly, the quiet was broken. "You found it?" Leo turned quickly. Rena stood at the door. Her robe was simple, and her hair was tied back. Her eyes looked softer than usual. "I couldn't sleep," Leo said, honestly. "I didn't mean to come here. My feet just led me." Rena stepped into the room. "This place is forbidden to most. Only my mother and I have keys. But I left the door open tonight. I wanted to see if you would find it on your own." Leo stood slowly. "This book, it's real. Everything inside it." "Yes," Rena said. "But most of our people don't know it exists. The Queen has kept it hidden. She believes the truth would shake the Empire." Leo looked down at the table. "Why show it to me?" "Because you came from the same world where it started, the same fire, the same spark." She walked closer. "I've read that book more times than I can count, but no matter how many times I read it, I could not understand what the spark truly was. Until I met you," Leo blinked. "Me?" "Yes," Rena said. "You feel things without shame. You show kindness without reason. You speak even when silence is easier. That is the spark we forgot." Leo felt a deep mix of emotions. Surprise, honor, pressure. "I'm not special," he said. "I'm just a normal guy from Earth." "That may be why it works," she replied. They stood there in silence for a while, surrounded by lost history. Then Rena stepped forward and placed her hand on the book. "There's something else. The Queen believes that if this spark returns, the unfinished tower from long ago may become active. Its energy was emotional. It needed connection. Without that, it stayed silent." Leo looked at her. "Do you know where the tower is?" Rena nodded. "It was buried when the Empire moved the capital. But I know the path. And now I believe it's time we go there." Leo took a breath. "Will your mother allow it?" "No," Rena said quietly. "But she won't stop us either. She's waiting to see what we do. That's her way." They covered the book again and left the room, walking together through the quiet hallways. As they stepped back into the main part of the palace, the early light of a new day was rising. The stars were fading, but the spark was growing. The morning sun had barely reached the palace towers when a loud tone echoed across the halls. It was deep and slow, like the sound of a great bell underwater. Leo woke at once. He dressed quickly and stepped into the hallway. Guards were rushing past. Servants whispered in corners. Something was wrong. He found Reyna near the royal garden. She was standing very still, looking up at the sky. Her hands were behind her back, and her expression was calm, but Leo could tell she was worried. "What's happening?" he asked Reyna. Turned to him. "The Council of Stars has arrived. They demand to speak with my mother. A message was sent from the rival empire, the Kralin Union. They accuse us of hiding a human weapon." Leo blinked. "A human weapon?" "Yes," Reyna said. "They believe you are the weapon." Leo laughed once, nervously. "Me? I fix machines. I don't even carry a tool belt anymore. The Kralin do not believe in chance. They believe everything has a reason. When they learned that a human was brought to the palace, they saw danger. They think you are here to control the mind of the queen's daughter. They fear your influence." Leo shook his head. "That's crazy. I've never even met a Kralin." "But they are powerful, and they are scared," Reyna said. "That makes them dangerous." A guard arrived just then. He bowed to Reyna and handed her a thin crystal. She touched it, and a voice played. It was the Queen Reyna. Leo must come to the council chamber. This matter must be faced now. No hiding. Reyna looked at Leo. "Are you ready for this?" Leo took a deep breath. "I don't know, but I'll go." They walked together to the Chamber of Stars. It was a wide room shaped like a circle, with long chairs along the sides. In the center stood a platform. Floating above it was a spinning map of the galaxy, marked with glowing paths and symbols. The queen stood at the front, wearing a deep purple robe. Her face was calm, but her voice was firm. Around her stood 5 tall beings with golden eyes and long necks. They were the Kralin speakers. Other leaders sat along the walls. Silent, watching, Leo was led to the center. All eyes turned to him. The lead Kralin stepped forward. His voice was smooth but cold. "You are Leo of Earth. Do you deny that you were sent here as a living weapon?" Leo frowned. "Yes, I deny it. I wasn't sent by anyone. I was working on a space station. I fix machines. One day your queen's guards picked me up. That's all." The Kralin's eye ridges moved slightly. "And yet now you stand at the center of our most secret palace. You walk beside the queen's daughter. You speak of old powers. Do not insult our minds. Humans are known for tricks." The queen raised her hand. "The boy speaks truth. I brought him here by choice. The danger, if there is any, lies not in him, but in what we choose to do with what he brings." Another Kralin stood. "Then let us test the truth. Let the human explain what makes his kind so special. Let him speak now. We will decide." Leo looked around the room. He saw eyes filled with fear, with doubt, with pride. He knew this moment mattered. Not just for him, but for Earth, and for something deeper than politics. He stepped forward. His voice was steady, though his hands felt cold. "I know I'm not a leader. I don't wear armor. I don't fly ships. But I am human. And maybe that's enough." He took a breath. "Humans don't run from feelings. We cry when we lose someone. We laugh when we find joy. We build not just to survive, but to express. We paint, we sing, we tell stories, not because it gives us power, but because it helps us understand ourselves." The chamber was silent. "We don't always get it right. Sometimes we make mistakes, big ones. But we keep trying. We don't stop learning. We don't stop feeling. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us strong." He looked at the Kralin speakers. "You fear me because I am human. But what you really fear is something inside yourself. Something you forgot. Maybe what I bring is not a weapon. Maybe it's a mirror. the words. Hung in the air like light suspended in space, one of the council members, not Kralin but from another race, stood slowly. I have traveled among humans. What the boy says is true. I have seen them risk their lives to save a stranger. I have seen them turn war into peace with one simple act of kindness. If that is danger, then perhaps we all need a little more of it. The Queen looked at the Kralin. You came seeking proof. Now you have it. This human brings no harm. He brings a lesson. What you do with it is your choice. The Kralin speakers looked at each other. Then slowly, they stepped back. Their leader gave a single nod. We will report this to our council. But for now, we will not interfere. The tension in the room melted like ice under warm light. After the council left, Leo stood quietly beside Rena. His hand still trembled a little. You spoke from the heart, she said. Leo looked at her. I didn't know what else to do. You did enough, Rena said. The Queen approached them. The test is done. What happens next is beyond politics. The path is open. The tower can no longer be ignored. Leo nodded slowly. Then let's follow it. And so, as the stars rose again over Crystal Haven, a new journey began. Not with fear, but with hope. The Tower of Light stood far from the palace, hidden deep in the green hills of the Virelian homeland. It was not marked on any map. No guide showed the way. Only a few knew of its location, and even fewer remembered its purpose. But that was where Rena and Leo were going now. A small skycraft carried them across forests and valleys. The wind outside was strong, but inside the vessel, silence filled the space between them. Rena looked out the window. I haven't been there since I was a child. Leo glanced at her. What did it feel like? She answered without turning her head. Empty, cold, like a place waiting for something that never arrived. After 2 hours, the skycraft landed on a flat stone platform near the foot of a long, winding path. Trees surrounded them. Tall and wide, their leaves shimmered under the morning light. Birds sang in soft voices. The air smelled fresh. Rena stepped out first. We walk from here, Leo followed her up the stone path. As they climbed, the tower came into view. It was tall and made of smooth white stone. No windows, no flags, no lights. It looked simple but powerful, like a monument that time had forgotten. When they reached the main door, Rena placed her hand on a glowing panel. The stone door slid open without a sound. Inside, the tower was cool and quiet. The walls were bare. The floor was smooth. Only a single spiral staircase led upward. They climbed slowly. With every step, Leo felt something inside him shift. Not fear, not pressure. Something else. Something peaceful at the top. They entered a round chamber with an open roof. Sunlight poured in from above. In the center of the room was a low platform. Made of glass, this is the heart of the tower, Rena said. Leo looked around. There's nothing else here? There never was, Rena replied. The tower responds to presence, not machines. It was made long ago when our people believed that connection was power, not weapons, not force. Just understanding between minds. She stepped onto the platform and sat cross-legged. She closed her eyes. Her hands rested on her knees. Leo stood still, unsure. Then he slowly walked over and sat across from her. What do I do? He asked. Nothing, Rena said softly. Just be here. Feel. So Leo sat. He listened to the soft breeze above. He felt the warmth of the sunlight on his face. He looked at Rena's calm posture, her steady breathing. Time passed slowly. The light above shifted as clouds moved across the sky. Then something happened. A soft hum rose from the floor beneath them. The glass platform began to glow. First pale blue, then gold. Then a warm white light that filled the room. Leo opened his eyes wider. "What is this?" Rena didn't answer. Her eyes remained closed. But her face had changed. There was no cold expression. No control. Only peace. Leo felt something inside his chest. A quiet warmth. Like a small flame that had been waiting for the right moment. His thoughts slowed down. His heartbeat felt steady. He didn't speak. He didn't move. And yet, he felt everything. The tower was not reacting to him or to her. It was reacting to both of them together. Two different lives, two different worlds, sitting in stillness, in trust. Rena slowly opened her eyes. There were tears there. Not from pain, but from something she had never felt before. "Now I understand," she whispered. Leo looked at her. "Understand what?" "What we lost," she said. "What we locked away to become stronger. But we didn't become stronger. We became colder, and now I feel it again. I feel it because of you." The light in the room became brighter. The tower responded to her words, to the feelings they shared. Leo spoke quietly. "So this is the spark?" Rena nodded. "Yes, but it's not just human. It's the part of every being that wants to connect, the part that hopes, the part that forgives. We buried it. But you brought it back." The tower began to pulse gently. The sound was like a heartbeat. Rena stood. "This is more than I expected. This is not just proof. It's a beginning." Leo stood with her. "Then what happens now?" "We bring others here," she said. "Not just Varelians, not just humans, all who want to remember what connection feels like. We open the tower again, not as a temple, but as a light." Leo smiled. "You really think they'll come?" Rena turned to him. "They'll feel it, just like we did. The tower will call them, and when they arrive, we'll be ready." They stood together at the top of the tower as the sunlight wrapped around them. Below, the trees moved gently. Birds flew in soft patterns. The world seemed to breathe again for a long time. The tower had waited in silence. Now it had awakened, and its light would not fade. The palace was quiet that morning. The golden light of the sun touched every corner, making the crystal walls glow softly. Leo stood in the great hall with Rena and the Queen. It was the day after their journey to the Tower of Light, and everything felt different now. The Queen's face was calm, but full of something new. Hope. "You have changed more than I expected," the Queen said. Her voice was soft but clear. "You reminded us of what we lost, the spark, the true light of life." Leo looked at her, feeling a mix of pride and surprise. He never thought a simple technician from Earth could mean so much to an alien empire. "The Queen continued, "Your presence here has opened doors that were long closed. I have decided to offer you a gift." Leo's heart beat faster. "A gift, Your Majesty?" "Yes," she smiled gently. "You will not be sent back to your station alone. You will be welcome to stay in the Empire as an honored guest. We will protect your world from harm." Rena stepped forward, her silver eyes shining. "And I will come to Earth one day, to learn from you, and to share what I have learned here." Leo smiled at her. "I would like that." The Queen nodded. "This is the beginning of a new path, one where our peoples walk together, not apart." Leo thought about Earth, his home, and how far he had come. The stars no longer felt distant or cold. They felt alive with promise. After the meeting, Leo walked with Rena through the palace gardens. The flowers bloomed in bright colors he had never seen before. The air was sweet with the scent of strange blossoms. Rena turned to him. "You helped me find the spark inside. Now it is our job to share it with others." Leo nodded. I never imagined this would be my life, but I am ready. They sat on a bench, watching the sky turn pink with sunset. For a moment, they were silent, sharing a peaceful connection beyond words. As night fell, the palace filled with music and light. The people of the empire celebrated the new hope Leo had brought. It was a festival unlike any other, a celebration of friendship and new beginnings. Leo looked around at the smiling faces, the children playing, and felt a deep sense of belonging. The queen approached him again. "Remember, Leo, this is your home now as much as it is ours." He bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best." She smiled. "That is all we ask." As the stars shone brightly overhead, Leo and Rena stood side by side, ready to face the future together. The journey that began with an unexpected order had led to something greater than either of them could have dreamed. It was a story of hope, courage, and the power of connection. A story that would be told for generations to come.